And we are live. Hey, what's up? What's going on, guys? I'm Smog here from WebBoss. And today we're talking about how to create gradient inside of CSS and Tailwind CSS, right? This is part of the other pieces of tech website that we've been building. So we have this amazing section here that features the team members that are building this project. And there is a gradient border here, which we are going to be implementing on this stream. Also, I have a guest as part of this stream who will be walking us through how to create an animated gradient. So you are in for a lot of goodies this evening. So before we start writing code, I'm going to talk to you about our guest. His name is Bilal. He's a full stack engineer who does everything with JavaScript, and this is what his portfolio looks like. You can already see those animated gradients right here in his portfolio. So that's part of the things that he will be walking us through this evening. He has about 6 years. No, not 6 years actually. He started coding at the age of 11, right? And he took a 6 years break, then got back to it later. I think we've all experienced that at some point where you just took a break and then you got back to it. So it's totally fine, right? And these are some of the things that he has worked on. You can check out his portfolio. I'll drop a link to that in the comment section. And he's always looking forward to collaborate with amazing talent within the tech space as well. And let's get started because we have quite a bunch of things to go through today. So we started with this landing page, which we are almost done with. Then we have the About Us page. Then we have this section, which we are going to implement shortly. And we also have a couple of pages that I would like us to actually wrap up today so that by next week, which next week most likely be the last time that we'll be streaming about other pieces of tech before we go ahead and stream another project. And it has been, I think, 6 weeks or 7 weeks of consistently streaming on this channel every Sunday. And I'm hoping to be able to do this throughout the year. So please come around, join, and let's have some fun. So I'm going to go ahead and start coding this section now, which is the gradient section, and I'm just going to walk you through everything that is going to happen in order to make this work. So let me go back to sharing this tab, and I have to stop sharing that, then share my entire screen. So I'm going to share screen, then window, entire screen. I'm just going to share my entire screen so that you can see VS Code as well as my browser as well. Cool stuff. Then I'm going to have this guy here, local host 3000, 8000 rather. Oh, my server is not rolling yet. So I'm going to do local Gatsby develop. Gatsby develop. So while that is coming up, that is loading. So let me come over here. Cool stuff. Then if I come over here to About Us, scroll down, and you see that I've already implemented this. So what I'm going to do is basically just tear down this component and start rebuilding from scratch. So if I come over to the About Us page, you see that we have the partner section, we have the team members section, and we have a component called team member, which represents each of these team members. Our major focus here is actually this individual team member item, which has this border gradient. And implementing this border gradient is actually very easy. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and remove all the style for the border gradient. So let me look for the team member component. Team member. Team. Now, since it is team member, right. So this is the component that renders the image. So I'm going to look for this styling. Not over there. I'm just going to do Command F, look for that styling, then basically just remove everything that is here, right? Same thing for this guy. And we are going to start building this from scratch. So let me refresh this page and let's see what that gives us. You see that everything is broken now, obviously. So one of the things I want to do is to give a common height to all of these items, like you can see in the design, right? So the height I'm going to give to this, so I can measure this height by Okay, yeah. So I think I used 376 or so. So I'm just going to come here. The design here wasn't properly handed off, so there are some issues like in terms of like getting things like height out of this design. This is some of the things that causes issues between developers and engineers, right? So, oh, I forgot, I didn't turn on music. Welcome everybody that is on this stream. Thank you so much for joining up. Uh, Please drop comments in the comment section if what I'm doing so far makes a lot of any sense at all. So I'm trying to give you guys some music. I mean, we shouldn't just be here and everything is just boring. Okay. I'm not sure I like that. The energy is too much. I don't have so much energy today. I just want to build. All right, cool stuff. So let's get back to it, right? If you have any questions, please do drop it in the comment section. The reason all of my screen is showing when I come to StreamYard is because I'm not using my monitor today due to power issues. So, however, if you're working on a project like this, right, and you need to, so right now I'm having difficulties getting the height of this. Okay, it seems like I can get it now, right? Okay, good. So inspect, let me see what the height says. The height is 7 now. I'm just going to do this, right, which I hope wouldn't take so much time. I'm just going to duplicate this guy. Drop your comments in the comment section, please. Let your friends join. I'm hoping that we can get 10 concurrent viewers on this stream. That would be like a, what do you call it? That would be like a milestone, a huge milestone for us on this stream. We've been doing this for like 6 weeks now. I feel like engagement should kind of pretty much increase, right? All right, cool stuff. So if you are working in a Figma file, right, and you don't have access to be able to modify the contents of the Figma file. So for example, you see I have a view-only access to this Figma file. Let me see if I can zoom that in. Nah, I can't. I have only a view-only access to this Figma file. What I can do is copy that file and take it into a file that I have access to edit. Then I can be able to get the things that I want in here. So that's just like a neat little trick that you may want to try out. So the height here is 460 pixels. So I'm going to, so we have a component here that says image and it has a class name of text image style. If you are wondering why we are doing putting our classes in a name, there's a video on this channel, WebBoss, on how we work with Tailwind CSS on this channel. Videos, yeah, and this particular video, check it out and you're going to understand the rationale behind what we are doing here. So the height of this guy is 460 pixels. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and I say height is 460 pixels, right? Save it up, and by now all the images should have the same height at the very least. I might need to refresh this. Good. All the images have the same height, but this height is looking too long for me because as I'm looking at this and what I have here, it's kind of long. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make this 360 pixels. There is the place of technical balance and also visual balance. So what I'm doing here is just basically visual balance. So this looks way better to me, right? Then I'm going to say rounded so that the edges are rounded. Seems like, I don't know what's wrong with Gatsby Alt module, HMR Alt module reloader, right? It seems like it doesn't reload. Maybe I was going to throw them, but then Gatsby is a great framework that I've used for many years, so I'm not going to throw them. Right. All right, cool stuff. This is rounded, but looking too rounded. We are going to fix that in a minute. So we have our image. The image looks rounded, but there is a tiny little problem, and the problem is we don't have this gradient border yet. So what I'm going to do is there's a wrapper here, which is basically a div that wraps around our image. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say that the width of this wrapper is 80%, save it up, then come back here. Then I have to do the mechanic work of reloading. And you see that this is now looking longer than what we had before. And of course, when you do something like this and you want it to be at the center, then I have to do MX Auto so that it's at the center. Yeah, so this guy is at the center now. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a gradient background, and there's a class that I've created inside of here, which is basically apply BG gradient to right and from blue and to red. So this is just a class that I abstracted so that it is reusable across the code base. So I'm just going to pick this class, right? And if you are wondering how to create gradients, we've done this in past streams, and also there is a video on this channel. If today feels like the day to advertise WebBoss, there's a video on this channel on how to create text gradients, but the same principles can actually be used to create gradients for. So if you watch this video, you're actually going to see how to create gradients inside of Tailwind CSS. It's essentially the same principle. What I just did was to abstract this into a class that is reusable across the code base. So I'm just going to come here and paste that class in here, right? Save it up, and let's see what happens. Of course, it doesn't show because it is behind this guy. And now let me show you some magic. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a padding P1, and let's see what happens. And you see that this guy is already behind it, but there's a problem in that it should look like a border. Right now, it doesn't look like a border. It just feels like a square around it. And all I have to do in order to make it look like a border is just to say rounded full, save it up, and refresh, and boom, you have your gradient border. Now, there are a couple of things that you want to take note of, which is like what I've also done in the past when I tried implementing this. Is in the past, when I implemented the gradient border here inside of the button, what I did was to try to calculate the width and the height, but that is not sustainable because you have to do percentages, and across various screens, the inner width will try to adjust with respect to like the width of this, and it just can mess things up. But if you add a padding, basically you're just adjusting what they call it, spacing inside of this div inside, and that is going to be consistent across board. So if I come over here and I inspect, and you can see that across board, this border remains the same. How amazing is that? This even looks good. It doesn't even look that bad. Yeah, that's cool. So that's how you create a gradient border inside of inside of Tailwind CSS, and you can apply the same rules inside of CSS itself. And so there are a couple of cleanups that I need to do, obviously, and this 360 pixels somehow still looks too big for me, so I'm just going to come over here and say 320 pixels in height. Right, this looks perfect to me. Then I'm going to make this available on medium screens alone. Then I'm going to say the height, right? The height should be 267 pixels. Let's just do 256 pixels on smaller screens. So if I inspect this guy now and I adjust, so on smaller screens you can see that the height, let's inspect this guy. The height is what? Is 320. Yeah, that's this medium screen, right? So I probably need to refresh. It's probably because I didn't refresh. Yeah, the height has adjusted now. You can see that the height here now is 256 pixels, which means that we actually have opportunity to like reduce the height a little further. Let me do that. Yeah, just 256 pixels. This doesn't look bad so far. And I can come over here and adjust the width of this guy and say, so this is 4 pixels. Then on small screens, I can say the MD should be 2 pixels instead. Okay, no, this should be 2 pixels. Save it up. You can see that it is a little bit thinner now. And yeah, and that's pretty much it. This is not the end of the stream. Okay, now this looks weird. Doesn't look bad. It still feels like part of our identity, but that's probably like something that I most likely will fix later. Plus, most people will most likely view this on mobile and on phone. Not a lot of people will view this on tablet. So I'm actually totally fine and cool with that. So as part of this stream, the next thing that we most likely will be doing right now is, Chineta, thank you so much for joining this stream. I really appreciate that. Thanks so much for joining and dropping words in the chat section. So I don't know if Bilal is available to walk us through how to create an animated border gradient inside of CSS right now. So just so that we can get into that and we can begin to like build other parts of this website. So I'm going to add him to the stream right now to confirm if he is available to walk us through this. And if he's not, I guess I'll just go ahead and continue to build other things. Ibukun Oyeleke, thank you so much for dropping by, and thank you so much for dropping comments in the comment section. Thank you so much. Share with your friends, let them join, let's have some fun and let's build this shit. I think Bilal is probably like having issues with his internet, So pending the time that it fixes that, I'll just go ahead and build other features of this website. So I'll just resume sharing my screen and we'll get back to it. So the next thing I want to work on right now, I'll come back to these social media items later. It's not critical for now. Plus, the social media icons that we have right now aren't really like what should be in the final thing. So I'm going to come back to the original design. Yeah, this is the original design. And the implementation here, it says we are product designers, community managers, front-end engineers, blah, 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 all of that. So this is supposed to be like type out and all of those things, right? So the library I'm going to be using for that is React rotating text, right? I can drop a link. I'm going to drop a link to that in the comment section as well, so that if anyone wants to check it out, they can go ahead and check it out. So that's the library that we are going to be using to type out all of these different roles of the people that are on the team. So I've installed this library. This is the documentation over here, and let's look at how we are supposed to use this. So it says var rotating text equals this guy, then items equals this. And so let me just go into the code base. I'm just going to copy and paste, right? And bring it here. Always import modules first. Then I'm going to obviously use imports, not require. Require feels more like a Node.js thing rather than a React.js or a front-end thing. So import, not var, import React rotating text from that. So I'm going to take this component over here and put it in here. React rotating text, right? And I'm going to then pass items to it, right? The item is inline for now. So I'm going to say product managers. Where's the design again? Product designers. Okay, product managers. We have product managers on the team. Front-end engineers. That's me. I'm the engineers. Must be a joke. Community managers, graphic designers, 3D artists, writers, and what else again? I think the list can go on and on. Save it up, then let's see what this gives us. I've never used this library in a project before. The last time we used this, it was actually a colleague that worked on it. So, and I think so far so good. This looks good. We are community managers, graphic designers, but I have a problem in that the speed right now is so much. So let's see if we can add a prop to manage the speed. So it says pause, typing interval, deleting interval, on typing starts, the number of milliseconds between each delete action. Typing interval says the number of milliseconds between each typing action. Pause, the number of milliseconds after each second. So I think we want to pause for like 1.5 millisecond, right? So I'm going to come over here, the items, and I'm going to say this is 1,500. Save it up, and let's see what that gives us. I probably have to refresh. The typing still looks fast to me, right? So I want the typing to be slow, right? I want the typing to be slow, but the deleting should be fast. So typing interval. I'm going to make this 100 or maybe 200, right? Then the deleting interval is going to be like a really low value, like maybe 5. Like I just wanted to like literally like even swipe out, and maybe we can just find like something else that is going to replace this in the future, right? So let's see. We are product managers. Okay. Then it pauses. I think it's too slow. Let's do 100. Then the delete interval should be 5. Save it up and let's see. Okay. This is still small. What do you guys think? Is the typing interval, is it small? Is it low? Yup, 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 yup. Welcome, guys. Okay, yeah. So I think Bilal is here now. I'm going to stop what I'm working on so that Bilal can introduce himself and walk us through how to create an animated gradient inside of Tailwind, not Tailwind CSS actually, it's actually CSS. So let's just get to it. Hi Bilal, good evening. How are you doing today?
Hello everyone. I like to introduce myself. So like Arimo said, I'm going to introduce myself first. So my name is Bilal. I'm a full stack developer actually, but I like to introduce myself as a front end developer because I'm actually more into that than back end. So so like Arimo said, I'm going to be like explaining how to make an animated gradients in CSS because technically you can't actually do that in Tailwind. I don't think you can yet because of the keyframes. So yeah, so just go into it now. Or do I need? Okay, let me give like a little.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. So
So
let me just.
probably you could share your screen, and while you are walking through, you could just explain your thought process from there.
Okay, yeah. Let me present. Let me share my screen.
Alrighty.
Okay, yeah. So this is exactly what I want us to build here. This here, um the div at the bottom here. Can you guys see the animated gradients here? You can if you notice there's like a switching, how do I put this? Although it's really kind of fast. Let me slow it down so you can see the different colors. Let me just set us like 5 seconds and we'll see that. It's kind of slower if you notice. So
Yeah,
um Yeah, so this is basically what we're going to do. The application I use this for in my if you remember at the beginning of the stream, I almost showed my portfolio and I used this to like make some divs, like some boxes where I have like add like my the skills I possess in them. I also use this to make like some buttons too, and also some icons and logos. So yeah, so let me just give a little bit of an explanation to how I came about this. So I was doing like research into like animated buttons, and I was wondering how no sorry animated gradients sorry, and I was wondering how to make one myself. But then I noticed that there is actually an option like a CSS property like the gradients. There's actually an option to use a background, so you can actually get this gradient background. But the issue now would be animating it because there's no way to do that. So what I did is simple, and that I'm going to take you through the steps. I'm going to start all over again. I'm just going to move all of this into somewhere. Sorry. Now, let's get into it. So let me start with just making a simple container div to give the class container. And yeah, so let's just style that a bit. Style, I'll give it the height kind of. Oh, first, just give the display of flex. Sorry, if you guys can hear me, I'm actually using a mic so yeah,
yeah,
it's kind of coming up. Yeah, let me just get this a height too. So 200 pixels. So I can then use justify contents, and center and align items to be center too also. Sorry. I completely forgot. I'm so sorry. I'm so much used to writing
React Native, right?
yes. So
Yeah, like you will
React
mix up putting things in quotes for React Native and for vanilla
yeah.
CSS. Yeah,
So he always has to put them in
I'm trying to make that mental model and mental switch as well.
I
Yeah,
really
so
have
it's
not
totally
written
all right.
I've actually not written CSS in a very, very long while. Like vanilla CSS in a very long while. So all of this is kind of like it's almost like I'm relearning everything again, actually. So I'm just
Yeah, I
like
can imagine. I'm literally on your in your shoes on the opposite sides of things, right? I have been writing vanilla CSS for like a long period of time. Then the team I'm currently working on at work, we are doing mobile. So I'm trying to make that switch to start thinking in React Native now instead of like vanilla CSS. So yeah, I totally understand that. So just go ahead.
Yeah.
Just don't mind me. Me, I'll just be
Okay.
running commentaries on the side.
Oh. So yeah, like I said, let me just give. Okay, rather than jumping into making the animated border and stuff, but let me just give a little explanation to the idea the um behind the concepts. So what we're doing is, rather than having like a set height, because if you had like a set height of, I wish there was a way I could draw. So I just showed you guys what I'm just saying. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create two
You know what?
boxes.
Let me share. Project your portfolio. Probably you could use that to explain, right? And
Okay,
I
okay,
can
yeah.
zoom into one of the elements. Can you see these items? Can everybody see these items? Yeah. Then we have
Yeah, yeah.
this CSS stuff. All right, cool stuff. So maybe you could use this to explain.
Okay, so like I was saying, just like you guys can see here, so there are two boxes here. If you look at it, there's an inner box, so that's the inner contents, and then there's the outer box, which looks and kind of looks like a border, but it's not actually a border. It's just a little bit of improvisation. So the outer box has a padding, a kind of padding, just to give like the inner box some space and to make sure that the background shows. And there's a set background on it, and the background is a gradient, like a gradient. I believe that's eight colors, eight different colors I used there. But the thing now is you're wondering how is it that some particular colors are showing at some points and some particular colors are showing at some other points. What I did was I increased the size of the graded background to 400%. So it's 400 times, it's four times larger than it would normally be. So in that sense, only some colors, like only two colors are showing at a particular time. And it's kind of rotated also. So it's kind of like blends in and looks like it's slanting. So that's why it looks like it's slanting. So that way when you start to animate. So animate this, you're going to use the background position. You're going to manipulate background position using keyframes. And by manipulating it, you start from 0 to 50% because that's the very first starting point. And then you move on to 100% to 50. So it moves from 0 to 100. That's on the x-axis, it moves from 0 to 100, but it still remains on that 50%. So it still remains at the halfway point, and then you end it again at 0 to 50. So it keeps on repeating like that infinitely. So that's how we get this kind of looks kind of wavy in a kind of way, like it's moving. The colors keep changing. So that's how I got that. So right, let me just jump into it directly now since I've explained the basic concepts. So here we have let's create the outer div and let's give it let's make it flex. Okay, no, not necessarily need, no need to make it flex. But the important
Yeah.
thing is the background color. Yeah. So we need the background color, and I'm just going to paste this here because it's kind of hard to remember or like write it down. So also I'm going to give the set width. Set width. Yep. That's 200 pixels and a padding of 5 pixels. Like I said, the pattern is just so you could see. If you guys can look here, you'd see the um. It's
We
already
can
coming
see the
out.
background now. The
Yeah,
gradients background now. Yeah.
yeah, you can see the graded background. So, um, now like I said, okay, let me even put the inner div so you will understand why there has to be padding, and then I'll style that with the background color of black.
No, it has to be
Um,
white in this case, so that well, it could be black actually.
yeah, yeah, it could be black.
Since the overall, so I was thinking since the overall canvas of the website itself is black, is white rather, but then the major thing is to give the impression of a border. So I think it makes a lot of sense,
Yeah,
even
it
if
can
it's
actually
black.
be any color you like, as long as it's not the color of the
Yeah,
background. Now, if you notice something,
yeah,
in this example here, we can see all the colors. You can see all the different. I believe that like 8 colors here. Yeah, eight
yeah.
colors.
All the colors
So
that you put in the gradient are showing up right now.
yeah, so it looks nice here, but how about if you manipulate the bit to show only some particular colors at a particular point in time? That's exactly the reason. Like I said, I increased the background size to give it that look. So once I put that there, if now we can only see two different colors because it's four times larger and there are eight colors. So I didn't mean that I increased this to, 800%. We would only see one color. Yeah,
Yeah.
like we can only see one color. If I increase this to 200, if I change it to 200%, we're going to see four colors. And if that's why 400% means we're seeing two colors at a time. So depending on
Hmm.
the number of colors you want to show, that's the number of percentages you're going to use. So
Okay.
that's that
So
for the
so you're
background.
saying that if in the gradient, for example, I have 8 colors and part time I want to see just 2 colors. So let's say I have red, yellow, blue, green, right? That's
Yeah,
4 colors that I've mentioned, right? If I would like to see the first 2 colors, I just need to divide by 2, right? So I need to make it 200% in my case so that I will see
yeah.
the first 2 colors, right?
No, no, no,
That
no, no,
makes a
no,
lot of sense.
no, no. I
No,
said
if I have 4 colors,
okay. If you have four colors, okay, yes, 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 yes. That's how
yeah,
it
if
works.
I
If you
have
have
four
four colors,
colors,
yeah, if you just divide that two. So that division is also kind of an improvisation because I had to think about that myself. So I wanted to like show some particular colors rather than just show everything at the same time. Because if I animate that, it doesn't really give it that kind of feel of switching. So just make
yeah,
that just put that kind of animation on it. That's the reason why I did it like that. So now we have the
yeah.
div, we have the let me actually put the text in there. So it's animated order. Oh, we can't see anything because the text is
Yeah, yeah,
white.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, let me just change the color to white and reduce the padding here to be 5%. Okay. Let me center that text with text align. So it's directly at the center. Okay. Yeah. So now we have this, and this isn't part. This is what we want, but it's not particularly there yet because we still haven't animated it. So
Yeah.
how do we animate this? And that's where keyframes come in. Um, the keyframes I'm going to be using here. Remember what I said when I was explaining. So you want to move the background. You want to move it around. So first you're going to start
Yeah.
at the beginning, then you move to
Yeah.
100%, then you move back to zero. So if you stop at 100, it will continue from it will look like it's starting from the beginning again, but it won't be smooth. It's just look like
It will be
I don't know.
glitchy. It
Yeah,
there will
kind
be
of
like
like
a jump. It's going
yeah.
to
It
jump
jumps
like
back to the beginning.
back to that color. Yeah.
Yeah, it jumps back to the beginning. But instead, the reason why we start at zero, we move to 100, then we end at zero again. So when the animation restarts, it just restarts from where it stops rather than actually
Stopped.
jumping. Yeah. So let's make that keyframe now. So let's see. Animated gradient. So at 0%, set the background position 0%, 50%. That's our starting point. Then at
Yeah.
sorry, 50%, we set the background position. We 100% sense. Then, like I said, you always need to end at
Where you started from.
exactly where you started from. So it gives the illusion of the animation is actually um
Smooth. And
yes smooth
infinite.
and infinite also, yes, rather than
Yeah.
just kind of jumping from the beginning and going back over and over again. So now we've gotten the keyframes, but it's not yet animation yet. The reason being we have not added the animation to our so our
Outer
div here,
div.
yeah. So we need to add this to the outer div because that is what is actually animating. So we set the animation properties. It's so you can see here we have the animated gradients, which is the name of the animation, the keyframe we're using. Okay, sorry, I think I made a mistake. I need this with capital G again. Come on, please,
Yeah.
starts react.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the timing, which is 5 seconds, and then the ease, that's the like ease. So I just give it a simple ease. Then the repetition, which is infinite. So again, we start again. Why isn't this? Um, Oh, sorry. It should be at keyframes. Okay, yeah, that should work now.
Yeah,
Okay, there we have it. And now we have our animated box or thing. You can actually apply
interesting.
this to almost anything actually. I if
Yeah.
let me just open up my portfolio.
So using these same principles, right? Um, as long as so
Yeah.
I think the major things to pay attention to is you set the gradients, right? And put like a bunch of colors in your gradient where you want the colors or the gradients to be changing to, right? Then set the background size. So you guys can see what's on screen right now. Then set the background size to be larger than what it would normally be. So, and in order to be strategic, you have to use like a percentage of the background. So let's say, for example, you have four colors, then you want to use something like maybe like 200%, just to make sure that you're showing the first two colors first. Then when you're doing the animation, instead of going from 0 to 100%, so you can go from 0 to 50%, then animate back to your starting point so that everything or the animation looks smooth. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I think you can just like walk us through your portfolio and some of the use cases for these animated gradients.
All right. So like I said, you can use it to do almost anything. For example, look at this person here, which is circular. And for this, what I did was I gave the person itself, the outer div of the person, a rounded border radius of 50%, I believe. Depending on the size, you have to change depending on the size. So the same border
Yeah,
radius, and also if you notice, there's also a bouncing effect on the button too. That's also a keyframe. I actually did not use any JavaScript for that. So
yeah.
yeah. So also here, on this underlining is actually also the same principle. But in this case, it's different because what I'm using here for this one is the after what do you refer to that? What do you refer to it again? So this is um, this after it looks like this. I believe it's element.
Sorry,
This
sorry, you were saying something
yeah, I
about
believe it's
after.
called
Is it the after pseudo element you're talking about?
yes, yes, yeah, that's the elements. That's what I was referring to.
Pseudo element. Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah,
that's
so
what you
that
used
was I used for the underlining.
for
Yeah,
the
so I
the.
just give it a height
Uh,
for the underlining.
yeah,
So I just give it the height. Then I think one pixel. I think it's just 1 pixel or five or so. Then I give it the
yeah,
height and that height, and then I there was no need to put the padding in because there's no but it's not a gradient in this case. It's an underlining. So I think
yeah.
I also used it in what else did I use? Okay, yeah. Also here for this button. Well, for the button, I didn't need to put an inner box. I just put it there. So that's the reason why it
Because
looks
this
the
is
colors are changing.
direct.
Yeah, it's
You're
just
applying
directly
it
on this.
directly on the elements, no longer in context of a border again,
Yeah, it's no longer a border. It's actually the box itself. So it's no
except
longer a
that you're
border.
animating.
Yes.
This makes a
So
lot of sense.
also
I, yeah, go ahead, please.
okay, also in this I don't quite remember what I did for this, but I believe what I did was I what I did was I changed the background color. Every time you hover, you change the background color, um both the icon and also the background. So it's changing the background color and also adding. I think there's a little bit of JavaScript in this. I don't quite remember, but I think yeah, the JavaScript adds the class to it. So
Yeah,
when it adds the class, it adds the background color and also adds the keyframes also that the animation too. So once you hover, it adds the animation and it has the keyframes, and once you remove it, it's back to it's back to normal. So just to give you that like, kind of like once you hover, you get that. So yeah, that's pretty much where I used it all.
okay. So there is a question here. It says, but I think while I have the answer to the question, I think I can I would like you to answer. It says, Bilal, if I hear you correctly, you used a D for that button. What is your consideration for accessibility? I think it was referring to the example that you did inside of CodePen. I'm guessing that was just for examples
Oh
purpose,
no, no,
right?
no,
You
that
would
was yes, that was just an example. For example, in this case here, for this button, it's a. Let me even expect it so you'd see. Okay, yeah, I'm still sharing. So I'll inspect that. Come up and left. Okay. Show you.
Sorry guys, if you have any
What's depth and
questions for
sequence?
Bilal,
Okay.
please just drop them in the comment section and he's going to answer them. It's his first time on the channel, even though I think it's not likely your first time on this channel. But if you are not subscribed, please subscribe. Alrighty. Okay, you are trying
Okay.
to inspect, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to like see
I
where
can I can actually
this
do
is the
that
same
over here.
thing.
I can actually do that over here. Let me share. Let me do that over here. I have your portfolio over here as well, so that I would expect for you. So,
Okay. Yeah.
so,
So
so this particular item is
yeah.
actually a div. But did you add
Yeah.
a
It
row
is a
of
div.
button to
I
it?
just remember. No, I believe I used JavaScript to manipulate that. In terms of
Oh,
accessibility, you could still use a button because buttons are basically just divs. But they are divs in the kind of how do I put it? They are semantic. Yeah, they are still divs, but they are just semantically buttons. So you can still use that same idea with a button. I believe I
for
should even try
buttons.
that. Let me actually do that.
Yeah, so it's going to work, but I
If I
think
change this to
something
a button,
that
it's still
but I think one thing that Justice was saying is this is like, for example, now if I come over here and I press like the tab button, it won't highlight, it won't be able to recognize this thing because it's a div, right? So for someone who probably is navigating this website without a mouse and they're only using their what do you call it, their keyboard, this is actually not accessible to them. But if you
yeah.
add like a row of button to it, then the accessibility engine is actually going to pick it up. So, but then, like you said, it's essentially the same principles that is going to work for something like this. So it's not really, I think the focus here is more on the principle of actually creating the border gradients rather than the specifics of whether using a div and all of that. Because in the end, even though buttons are kind of, they are inline elements, but you can even just say that your button should be a block and it becomes a block element, that kind of thing. So there is an issue, but I don't really see an issue here because in the end, it's still the same principles that you are going to use in
Yeah,
solving the
you
problem.
can still.
So I don't know. Yeah, yeah, go
Well,
ahead.
no, what I was saying was I actually want to thank that guy for pointing that out because I didn't actually know that it wasn't a button. I think I probably might have glanced over that. So yes, I would actually be making that change. And thank you very much for that. I would be making that change on my portfolio.
Awesome.
Oh,
This is what I enjoy on this stream. I have people calling me out and making my life better. Yeah, cool stuff. Hello, can you still hear me? Oh, I think Bilard's network is disconnected. Hello, can you hear me? I can see you, but it seems you can't hear me. All right. I think this has been really amazing. Learned quite a bunch of things myself. And I think we'll just go back to like building. Hello? Hello? Oh, I think network. I think the net. Okay, yeah. And is off the stream. Alrighty. So yeah, hopefully when Bilal joins back, I've not had time to thank him, but that was like really helpful and very educative for me. But right now we have other pieces of tech to build because like I said, I'm hoping that this is second to the last stream for this project because there are a bunch of other things that I have lined up to build. So we are community managers. Nah, I don't like that. I think I'll probably do 50. Right, and let's see. We are graphic designers. Let's see. We are product managers. We are front end engineers. All right, cool stuff. So we have this guy. Then the next thing we want to do over here is we don't want it to fill the screen like it does currently. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come over here to the header, and instead of the minimum height being screen, I'm just going to do 50 VH instead. Let's see what that gives us. I think it's time to turn the music back on. Let's turn the music back on. Brand. Let me see what kind of sound this is going to give. Um, okay, is the music on? I don't seem to be able to hear the music. If anyone can hear the music, please let me know. So I have to stop sharing my screen for a bit, and I'll be right back. I'm trying to get the music that we can use for this session. Okay. Can anybody hear the music? Can anyone hear the music? Anybody, can you hear the music? Can you hear the music? Can you hear the music? I can't hear the music, but I guess I'll just resume. It's on. All right, cool. Thank you so much, Justice. So let me resume sharing my screen. Okay, I'm sharing my screen already. So I'm just going to get back to it. So yeah. So I have this guy now. Then we have meet our team. I'm just going to add that over here. At the top of this section, I'm going to add the texts component. The variant is going to be H3. I don't even know if that's the right thing, right? I'm not going to use a self-closing tag. Then what did I just do? Then this guy is meet our team. Right? Right. Save it up and let's see what we have here. Okay, I have to close this out. Then I need to, I don't know, why is this thing not doing auto reload, man? This is stressful. So part of the section style, then I'm going to do I'm going to add a margin to the top of that. What's the distance between this guy and this guy? About 77 pixels. So I'm going to do MD. Okay, I could make it a padding, right? MD PT 77, most likely 80 pixels, actually. Most likely 80 pixels. Save it up. Now I have to refresh. Wow, this is modern slavery, man. Then I think that's pretty much what I need to do for that. Let me check what it looks like on mobile. What's the distance like on mobile? That's 31 pixels. So I'm going to do PT 32 pixels instead, just to make sure that we are working with round numbers. Inspect. I have no idea where my inspect tool or my dev tool is showing up on the right, but then it is what it is. Cool stuff. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is to bring in this arrow here, right? So I'm just going to export this arrow as an SVG, and I'm going to just pick this guy, show in folder, and say arrow, right? Then I'm going to take it to documents. Then inside of documents, where is the arrow? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I thought I moved the arrow in here. Wow. Let me export that again. Then I'm going to open. Okay, it actually didn't move. So I'm going to open another Finder instance, new Finder window. That's documents, web bus, other faces.tech, other faces.tech, where's other faces.tech? Now, this thing, please don't stress me. I'm feeling stressed already. I don't need to add this. Okay, yeah, other faces.tech. Then source. Then we have the assets, we have images, we have SVGs, and I'm just going to bring this here, and I will say arrow. I hope there is no arrow again yet. Cool stuff. So I can import these as arrow. So I'm just going to say import this component, these are components. Then this guy should move up there. Separate modules from that. Then I'm going to say import arrow icon from images. Okay, assets / images / svg / arrow.svg. I have a Gatsby setup that allows me to import arrows. That's why I'm able to get away with this, by the way. So I have this guy. Then I definitely want this outside of any container. So what I'm going to do is inside of this header. All right, cool. So this looks like a perfect place to put the arrow. So I'm just going to do arrow icon, save it up, and let's see what that gives us. This is the arrow, but it looks cut off. Why? Why are you running? Why are you cut off? Let's see if this is an issue with the arrow or where I put it. So I want to see, is there a flex? Oh, this flex call, right? So what I can do, of course, is I can bring this guy here, just create a div in here, and just put this arrow, and let's see what that gives us. All right, but you see, it seems to be the same. The arrow looks cut off. So let me copy this guy. Like I said, bring it over here, and wow, it was a problem with the arrow. Oh shit, the designers didn't what do you call it? They didn't group these two guys together. That's interesting. So I'm going to save this guy. I'm going to group it together. I think this is when it becomes handy to be able to figure things out on your own inside of Figma. Don't rely on designers. Designers will fail you. No, these are actually great designers, but obviously, you get what I mean. So SVGs, then show in folder, then arrow.svg, then it goes to the top, then drag it here, replace. You should ask me to replace. Then Almighty Apple is doing, I don't know, my M1 seems to be quite slow these days. I don't understand why you are preparing to move arrow.svg. Stop moving, I beg. And it's going to take forever. This is literally giving me PTSD of when I used to use Windows laptops. I don't understand why Apple will collect so much money from people and still not give them value for their money. That's not just fair. Moving to bin. Wow, that's pathetic, man. Apple needs to do better, man. Then moving this arrow.svg. So waiting for the almighty Apple to finally, oh shit, there's something I should have done actually. Is that okay? There's a question here. Let me see if I can quickly respond to that question. It says, I can see that you are assigning the Tailwind classes to a constant to make your HTML look cleaner. My question is that not an additional space constraint still introducing JavaScript into CSS, right? So I think that, or my opinion about that is this, right? So the reason that I put my CSS classes inside of Tailwind CSS is just for sanity's sakes, right? And in the end, right, Tailwind CSS, like, I don't even know, like, for me, I'm kind of, it's more of like a preference in terms of like cleanliness of the code rather than the fact that I'm introducing JavaScript into into the code base, right? And also, one thing that I'm very careful of is the fact that the the CSS actually doesn't take extra space in the DOM. So for example, so that's why there's this utility that I use called CTL, right? So this CTL, right, basically puts all of these, like these are on a single line, right? It puts them on a single line inside of the DOM. So basically what you see, like you see that all of these elements eventually are actually like on one line. So that kind of solves that problem of having a lot of items that you then have to like probably like deal with like in production or something. I don't know if that makes any sense, but for me, it's more of like a preference thing, right? And I don't see so much, let's say, I don't see so much performance impact here, because this is like the way you would like probably like define a variable and all of that, right? So for me, it's more about the code being clean rather than the semantics, really. Yeah. So I don't know if that response was satisfactory enough, but then it's more of like a preference thing rather than thinking about, and there really isn't any what do you call it? There isn't really any performance concerns per se, because I'm ensuring that the classes are actually like on one line inside of the DOM because of like that CTL library that I use, and it's actually a very tiny library. Let me even see what the size looks like. So yeah, it's about 458 bytes zipped and less than even 1 kilobyte zipped. So yeah, I don't think there's any performance concerns there. So yeah, and another thing in terms of it being additional space constraints is that's why the classes actually like live below the component. So if you need to understand what like maybe like a variable is doing or whatsoever, like you can just like always like go down and all of that, right? Yeah. So means opening a RAM space and storing that class in that space to be used in a later date. So while I agree with you, but the truth is it is programming and we declare variables every single time, right? And this is 2023. We are being honest, right? We have the resources to be able to handle these things, right? Because if you don't, so it's more or less like saying like there are components, there are React components where you have like about 4 or 5 use state instances instead of that. Naturally that would be like an accessibility concern, but this is like 2022. There are what do you call it, like we have the servers and the resources to be able to handle these things, right? So the impact is like literally minimal, right? So like there isn't really any concerns here. For example, like the number of variables that I am creating here is just like 1, how many, 2, and all of that, right? So it's more like saying, oh, you have an array in your data, then do you then add code the array just because you don't want to store it in memory, right? So I don't see it as being what do you call it, as being much of a problem. Plus, even like your normal CSS, even like as you are declaring classes and all of those things, like you are storing value in memory as well, low-key, because you need to be able to like match a class to the component that it has been attached to and then apply the required style, right? So it's just like basically the same thing in here, right? I feel like sometimes we think too much about optimization and performance, right? When in this case, like there isn't really any concern. Like if I put the classes in line and I put this, I don't think there will be like any difference because of like the kind of resources and the computing power that is available for us in 2023. I don't know if that makes any sense, right? But that's just like my own thinking and thoughts about this. But definitely something that is worth thinking of, right? So yeah, thank you so much for sharing. So the next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to make this guy. So I only use that naming variables when there is a lot of classes that I'm storing, so that like it's just like very easy to like just structure that particular item. So for example, I'm going for this something like this. I'm just going to do overflow hidden, right? Then I'm going to make it relative. I'm going to make it relative, right? Then I'm going to come over here and say class name absolute. Then left would be, let's just say minus 100 pixels, and let's see what that gives us for now. Okay, because this guy has no height, so I'm just going to say h equals 50 pixels. All right, so that height is not enough. 100 pixels. Let's see. All right, cool stuff. So left is minus 0 pixels. Let me do left 100. Oh shit, that was a huge mistake on my end. I didn't add the hyphen there. All right, cool stuff. So this is getting close to what we have right here now, isn't it? Cool stuff. No. This guy probably needs to go down a little, go in a little more. Maybe a little more, 150 pixels maybe. All right, cool stuff. Then I'm just going to, let me see what the design looks like here. Okay, so I'm going to reduce the height of the header to 40, right? To 40, and reduce the height of the header to 40. Okay, yeah, I know what I'm going to do, right? Then I'm going to add some padding here. I'm just going to do PT. Let me just do some really interesting value, like 48 pixels, just to ensure that this guy is not too close to that guy. All right, cool stuff. Right, then I'm going to add some margin bottom to this div. I'm going to add some margin bottom to this div. I'm going to add some margin bottom to this div. So I'm just going to say MB. And also I should mention that, honestly speaking, for a live coding session like this, right, it's actually difficult to put things in a variable because it's going to take a lot of time to determine what variable name you want to give those things and all of those things. So it's this, like putting stuffs in, like naming variables or putting your classes in a variable. Oh, you can't see my screen. I'm so sorry. Hey, my goodness. Wow. 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 I guess I'll just go over what I had done before. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for what do you call it? Thank you so much for bringing my attention to that. So what I've been working on is this. So let me just remove all of these classes and just explain pretty much what I have done so far, right? So let me know if you can see my screen, please. Let me know if you can. Can you confirm if you can see my screen now? Alrighty. Let me break this guy down. Save it up. Then let me refresh. So this is what we have right now, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give that div an height of 150 pixels, right? I'm going to give it a margin bottom of, let's say, 80 pixels. Then I'm going to make the overflow hidden. Then I'm going to make it relative, right? And you understand the reason why I'm making it relative. So this is just to ensure that I can offset the icon to the left. So I'm going to come over here and say class name. I'm going to say the position should be absolute, then left should be minus 100 pixels. Save it up, and let's see what that gives us. Boom, we have this. Boom, we have this. So yeah, so we have this. Sorry, please give me a sec. So boom, we have this. So this is what I've been working on. Please let me know if this makes any sense, right? So this is what I've been working on. If you look at the design, that's what we have here, right? And so we have this other arrow. There are two approaches that I can take to this, basically, right? I could either just rotate this guy, right, or export this guy as another arrow. But I think I would go down the right of rotating this guy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this arrow, right? I'm going to do absolute, then the right will now be it will now be right minus 100 right minus 100 pixels. Let's see what that gives us. Let's see what that gives us. Right. So you see that it is the head that is getting cut off now, obviously. So what I need to do now is to say transform, add transform. Then I'm going to rotate by, that should be 180 degrees. Rotate by 180 degrees, and let's see what that gives us. Good stuff, right? But there is a bit of a problem. It's not a problem per se, right? But if you look at this design, right, this guy seems to be close to this meet our team, and this guy seems to be kind of up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the height of this guy to, like, let's say 400 pixels, right? And save it up. Please, if you have any questions, please just drop it in the comment section, right? Cool stuff, right? So it is kind of now below this, right? So what I'm going to do now is I am going to, let me see what I'm going to do, right? So I'm going to first make this guy, this second arrow, right? I'm going to say that the bottom should be 0, just so that it is at the base of that, right? So my thinking around this now is, if I offset this and give it like a negative margin, then that should help out. So let's see if that is going to work actually. So let me come over here and say class name, and let me see empty of minus, let's say 200 pixels, and let's see what that gives us. All right, cool. Gave me what I wanted. Can you see what is happening here? So these are like tips and tricks so that you can use, like just like make things look good, right? So instead of 400 pixels, I'm going to do 300 pixels. The spacing right now looks a little too much. All right, cool. I think I like what we have here. This is close to this. This is kind of close to this. And I think, yeah, I think that's pretty much it, right? I think that's pretty much what we have. Let me be sure. There seems to, okay, yeah. So there's space here because I was already getting worried that there's a lot of space in between these two guys. So cool stuff. So we have this section now sorted out. We have product managers. We have front-end engineers. I think that pause or that break is too much. And I think we are. I think the product managers I think it's too long. So I'll just say we are managers, we are engineers. So just to like, we are designers. Yeah, we are designers. We are 3D artists. That works. Then we are writers, right? I feel like that's going to work better for this use case, right? We are managers. You see that typing. We are engineers. So I like this better than what we had before. So the typing interval, the pause, let's make that 1 sec, right? We are managers. We are engineers. We are designers. Then I think we can increase this to 50 now, so that it is a little bit much more interactive. Cool stuff. It's making sense. I'm glad with the progress that we are making so far. I hope that these brands don't sue us actually, because we've not gotten any form of permission for them to use their logo on on our website. But these are people that we are hoping to be able to collaborate with in the future and stuff, right? So yeah. So I think that's pretty much all for this About Us page. Yeah, that's pretty much all for this About Us page. This social media section, I would not be implementing this now because there isn't any the social media icons in here are not correct. So I will just go ahead and work on another page, which will be the donate page. So, and there's something I wanted to check, right? If I click on this now, okay, yeah, so this guy is highlighted. So I just wanted to be sure that worked correctly. And so yeah, so let's go to the donate page. It says support our work, the work we do. So implementing this should not be much of a hassle. So there are two ways that you can implement something like this, right? One is to export all of these images and try to do some shenanigans and all of those things, right? But that's going to take a lot of effort and energy to maintain. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to export this frame of image itself, right? I'm just going to export this image frame itself, and that's what I'm going to use or work with. So so the group is this guy frame. All right, so I think I can export this frame, then export frame 109. Let me preview what we have in here. All right, this is even perfect. This is exactly what I need. So export, right? Then show in Finder. Then I'm going to say donate cover image. Then I'm going to come over to images, team now. Then I'm just going to say donate. We don't have a lot of images or per page, so I'm just going to leave it as that. Donate cover images. Donate cover images. Donate cover image. Let me check downloads. Donate cover image. I don't know why searching things on this laptop is very slow these days. At this point, I'm not sure I can even advise someone to pay for a MacBook. Donate. Where is it? Where is it? Donate cover image.png. I think I should have exported it as an SVG. Thinking about it now, as a JPEG rather. But this still works. Cool stuff. So what I'm going to do now is come over here and click on donate. Create a component called donate.js. Right, and come over here. Let me see the pages. Okay, yeah, donate. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this about us page, copy everything that is here, paste it in here, just because I'm lazy, right? And I'll just clean this guy up, right? Then I'm going to what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove everything that is in here and just like start building from scratch. Then the what do you call it? The title would be donate. Don't ignore the site name now. It's be donate, right? Then all this team section style and all of that would be gone. Team member, thank you for coming, but we no longer need that component. Then this guy as well. Basically everything here, we don't need it. What we need is just that boilerplate component, right? Most likely we still use the arrow, rotating text. I most likely wouldn't need this again. I most likely will still need static image. Then the newsletter section, I definitely would need that as well. So let's see. I think the newsletter section should be on this page because we want people to subscribe to the newsletter. So I'm just going to add it. I hope the designers don't fire me down the line. Newsletter. So save it up. Then I'm going to change this guy, of course, to donate page. Copy this guy, then paste it over here. Then if I come back here and I click on donate, and we have the newsletter section, and if I click on this guy, you see that it is highlighted. So let's start building out the various sections of this guy now. So I can come over here now and say header. Just create an header, a generic header. Then I have an image, static image, right? Then the source is going to be then let me just see what the format looks like. I'll most likely just copy and paste the image format that we have here. Then let me see. I have static image used here. Static image. So yeah. So donate static image. So the auth will be assets/images. Then just say donate page cover. Donate page. I mean donate cover page. Let me see. Let me just confirm the name. Donate cover image. Donate cover image. Then I'm just going to say members, headshots of members of other faces tech, right? Then what else do I want here? Please go away. Then the placeholder should be blur, but I think I have a default setting for that already, so I probably don't need to do that. So let's just save this up and let's see what we have. Oh, perfect. So I'm going to put this inside of a container. Right? I'm going to put this inside of a container, save it up, and now it's at the center. So I'm going to come over here and create a new style and call it header image wrapper, right? And it has to be CTL, right? Then I'm going to come over to my Tailwind CSS here. I'm just going to say blue to red, gradient blue to red. Then I'm going to simply come over here. I'm going to create a new div inside of here. I'm not sure I allow this container to accept its own accept a class name. Then I'm going to do header image wrapper. All right, cool stuff. Save it up and let's see what we have. All right, cool. So you can see that this guy is showing up already, right? So I'm just going to do P of 2 pixels, add a padding of 2 pixels to it. Okay, I think padding of 2 pixels looks small. I'm just going to do P1 so that it has a padding of 4 pixels. And I think this looks good, right? Then I'm going to say that the max width. So obviously, from what we have here, from what we have in the design, this is what we have in the design, right? This is not full width of the screen, right? So I'm just going to say that the max width is 80%, 80%, then MX auto, just to ensure that it's at the center. Perfect. Then we can add a full rounded full, save it up. Okay, yeah. Then we need to add class name. This guy also needs to be rounded full. Perfect. And we have this preview image that is over here, right here. Isn't that amazing? Then, of course, I can add some margin to the top, MY, let's say 8 or even 16, just to see what we have here. And it seems that auto reload is back rather. That's amazing. It's cool to see that we have auto reload back for this. Please, guys, drop comments in the comment section. Please don't just be on this stream and be watching me doing like I don't even know. Even I myself, I don't even know what I'm doing. We have 3 people on this stream. I'm actually the 3rd person, so we have 2 people technically on this stream. Drop questions, ask like a bunch of things, and let's just get it. So we have this section now. Then the next thing is to have this support our work. And by the way, I think there is a document. Sorry, I have to stop sharing my screen right now. I have to be security conscious. This is 2023. So there is a document that contains the original content for this website. So I'm just trying to pull off that document. Pending the time where I pull off that document, please, if you have any questions, please just go ahead and ask, and I'll be more than happy. So, wow. So I had been playing another video underground that I didn't even know. Interesting. I hope you guys were not hearing that. I think you guys were not hearing it because someone would have complained. Okay, so let me just do this. Let's google.com. Any question of the day? Oh yeah, it's me. Okay, it seems that the content is not here. And, so we're getting there. Yeah. So this is the website content. Let me just pull it up quickly so that you guys can see. Oh shit, I stopped sharing my screen. I shouldn't have done that. Entire screen, pick this guy, and now. So it is now me and one other person that is left on this stream. Nice, life is hard though. Okay, I think 2 other people are actually. So donate. So it says support our work. Alrighty. I just wanted to be sure of that. It's not like I don't trust the designers, man. But you just have to be sure of these things. I trust them. Amazing people. They got us here. You know what I'm talking about, man. So yeah. So we have the newsletter section. Then we are going to have another section in here, right? Then I'm just going to add the text component. Then the variant will be maybe H1 or H2. H1, right? Then support our work. Then save this up. Okay, yeah. I think that's 2B. So most likely H2 then. Good stuff. So I'm going to come over here, class name, right? And I'm just going to add some padding and all of that to this guy. So I'm just going to do PY, let's say 8 for now, and let's see what that gives us. Then text center. And of course, we need to wrap this in a container just to be sure that it doesn't touch the edges down the line. Alrighty, so now I can begin to add this more complicated text. So what's the size of this? That's 24 pixels. We are definitely not going to make that 24 pixels. So variant equals P18, right? Then I'm going to support our work. Really? Copy this guy. Save this up. Alt Z, save it up, and so this is obviously too much. So I most likely just do a div here, put a div in here, and say wrap all of this guy in it, and I'll say class name. Then I've had a max width of. Let me see what the max width of the length of this text is. The width is 1020. I'm sure that it can't be up to that. I'm just going to do 1000 pixels, then mx or 2. Save it up. Boom. All right. So let me see. We are okay. Yeah. So, like I guessed, let me just do 900 pixels. 800 or 850 pixels might actually work. Okay, yeah, I think that works. So then copy this guy. You can to make donations. You can use the form below. I'll most likely just do a class name, and I'll just do empty empty of 46 pixels, 46 pixels, 46 pixels. To make donations, okay, 46 pixels seems a little much, so I'll just do 34 pixels. Fine, so that works. And this is supposed to be a form, but it's not a form, obviously. And I guess that's where we are going to stop for the donate page. I think this is the fastest page that I've built so far on this project. And it's nice to see. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Yeah, I expected this to be responsive out of the box. So thank you for not disappointing. But then for this guy, for the header wrapper image, I'm actually going to do MD. Then I'm going to do what do you call it? P of 2 pixels. Then this guy is surely applied on medium screens as well. So, all right, cool stuff. So this looks more like it, right? Then for this guy, I'm going to do empty 8. Alrighty, works. Now, since we don't have a form yet, I probably would not bother myself with that. That's probably some of the things that we are going to deal with by next week. But I think I like what we have here so far. So good. Support our work. The work we do is largely by that and that. Let me look at the design again. If there's anything here that we need to do, right? So I would not be implementing this page yet because there are a bunch of things that I need to speak to the designers about, and that's make this happen. But so far so good. This is what we have, right? So I will just spend the next couple of minutes trying to clean up this code. It said, so your container text and layout, can we see the code? Of course, you can see the code. Yep, you can see the code. Text. So, do you want me to walk through the code? Do you want me to talk through the code, or you just want to see the code and just look? Do you want me to walk through the code and talk about some of the logic behind the code and everything, right? If you want me to do that, I'm very much open to doing that and explain what goes. Justice is the one who asked that question. I feel like my throat is getting dry. Please just give me a minute. I need to drink water. Just a minute, please. Alrighty, and I'm back. Yeah. So okay, walk through it. All right, no problem. So I'm going to start with the layout. I think the layout is the least. Let me share my screen. Don't let me forget that. So I think the layout is the least complicated of all of these components. So I'm going to start with that first. Layout index.js. So Basically, what the layout contains is it contains this SEO title, which is just like a custom component to handle SEO things like the title and what shows up here for the navbar. So you see, for example, here we have donate and it accepts children, which is basically the items that you want to render out like on that page. Then it accepts title, which we pass into the SEO, and the ignore site name. So this ignore site name, what it does is, for example, on home pages, like for most pages on the website, for example, if you come to, let's say, about us, right, it's still showing other pieces of text. So let me come over here and go to the about us page. I'm actually sweating. I'm coming. I need to I need to open one of my windows before sweat kills me here. I beg. Before it kills me here. I'm in Nigeria. Woo. My goodness. I feel like I'm getting too confident on this. It's probably a good thing, right? Whoa, that it was much. Right, okay. So I'm back. Let me share this guy now. So yeah, so this SEO component basically contains things. So like I said, let me show you the about us page, right? So if I come over here to the about us page, right, then I pass the title about us. This is a Gatsby project, by the way, not Next.js or Create React app. Save it up. Then I come over here to the website and I refresh this guy. You can see that we have about us showing up here. So that's all thanks to this, the SEO component inside of the layout, right? So then we have the navbar, which is basically this guy. Then we have the main component, which is where you want to like render the children. Then we have these two divs. So basically what they are doing is, you will observe that there is like a red, I don't know if you can see it. Let me try and see if I can zoom in. But there's like a red gradient, yeah? There's a red gradient here and there's a blue stuff here that as you are scrolling through the entire website, those two things are constant. So that's what these two elements, that's what they do. If you come down here, this glowing light effect that you see down here is all thanks to these two divs, and that's basically what the layout component is doing. Let me see the other component you asked and talk about is then the container. So I think the container is not complicated as well. Container. So basically what the container is just essentially a section. Oh, you can even add additional classes. So I've been making a mistake. It's basically contains some default style, which contains like the max width, then some padding to the left, right, some padding to the left and right, then centers that particular section on screen. Then you render some children in between it, but you can add classes, which is something I've not been doing. So thank you so much for asking me to walk through this component. That's something that I need to work and improve on. Then the text component, this is actually the most complicated component, and I will just try my best to kind of take it one step at a time, right? So let me start with the variants. Just like your default HTML, what do you call it? You have H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6, right? So basically, that's what this variant they represent. It's basically an object which has a key of all the various variants that you can pass to it, and each one has its own styling, right? This is also one of the reasons why I store classes instead of like components, because it just makes it easier to like access things like variants like this, right? So you have H1, this contains all the styling for an H1, H2, and so on and so forth, right? Then you have H6, H7, and so on and so forth. But there are certain components, for example, paragraph. Paragraph can only be a paragraph, right? But sometimes you want to extend your paragraph to like P18, P16, P14, P12, according to your design system. So you have all of these guys, right? And the way I handle that is this. So if you come over here, we have the primary. No, I don't want to start with what do you call it? With the primary font list. So one of the things that we are checking here is this. The variant that you pass in here, I'm picking the first value. Let's say I'm picking the first character of the variant that you pass. So for example, if you pass an H1, the first character is going to be what do you call it? The first character is going to be H. If you pass P18, the first character is going to be P. Now this is I'm seeing an opportunity to make this clean. I'm just say first character invariant, right? So I'm just going to cut this and do close this out. And I'm just going to, I hope this doesn't lead to a bug that will take forever to solve. Yeah. So I'm picking the first character in the variant and I'm using that to determine the component that I want to render or the element, the text element that I want to render. So if the first character is a P, then the element that I want to render should be a P, a paragraph tag, right? So if you say let text element equals to P string, it's actually going to create an element. It's basically doing react.create element P. It's going to do that for you, right? And if the text variant is H1 or any other thing, then go ahead and just render the H element as it is. However, H7, which is actually in the design system, is actually not a valid element. So what we want to do is we want to replace it. We want the element to be the text element itself to be an H6, but the the design of it is going to like remain an H7. So that's basically what we are doing here, right? I'll come back to the color later, right? Then for the text style, we just do text style equals CTL, then the variant equals text into brackets variant, then we append any additional styles that you would like to add, then we can pass that to the text element, which is now like your React element. So the other thing here is colors, right? So you can pass a color in here, but the color must come from your Tailwind CSS classes. So for example, you have your tailwind.css, right? You have your tailwind.css. No, not tailwind, tailwind.config.css, right? Tailwind.config.css. Remember that one of the reasons why something like tailwind.css, I said tailwind.css, one of the reasons why something like tailwind CSS exists is to ensure that there's consistency in your design system. So I wanted to ensure that that text element also didn't accept any other color aside the color that is in the design system, right? So you have colors primary. So if you pass primary, then without passing any shade, it's just going to like render this black color and so on and so forth. So what I did here, if you come back to the text component, text.jss, you come back to the text component, is that I imported the Tailwind config from Tailwind config, right? Then I destructured the colors from the Tailwind config. Sure, you get what's happening now. So what I did now is, if you pass a color to an element, right? What I do here is to split that color by an hyphen, right? So the text color then becomes colors into brackets, because this right here is a nested object. Where is the Tailwind config? This right here is a nested, is a nested object. You have colors, then the color itself is, so then the color itself is a key which then possesses objects. So this is like a nested, this is a nested object, right? So if I come back to text.js here, so what I'm doing here is I'm first getting the primary key, which is either whether it is primary or secondary or alternative, right? Then if there is a shade, right, that is you pass something like primary 100, then what we do is we use that shade as the second value to search for that particular color that we are looking for. Else we default to default, right? Then that's what your text color is going to be like. Then this dynamic text color is because I cannot do something like text into brackets text color. Tailwind CSS will not allow me to do something like this. So I needed to append this color dynamically to to the text element itself. So that's why we have this here. And the font weight basically is just what is passed from the component. It's a prop that I just passed from the component, and that is also like dynamically added to this. I can't really remember why I added the font weight, but I know that I hit a snag that actually didn't allow me to be able to work with font weight dynamically. That's why I had to like append it, and that's basically what the text component is doing. I don't know if that makes any sense. If there are any questions regarding that so far, right? Before I go ahead and just like clean up other things that I would like to work on. Okay, so I guess I'll just get back to it. So as I was saying, it's kind of time to start cleaning up this code base. Get merge is this guy. All right, so I think one of the first things I would like to clean up is actually this button, because obviously now there is like no consistency like on this button. So this one is like getting stuck to the top and stuff, right? So I'm going to come over to the button component, and this will like obviously like take some time for me to like wrap my head around, but I'm ready to like give this the shot that it needs or requires. So we no longer use this, right? Then all these guys is no longer necessary. All right, good stuff. So we full height full as well. All right, cool stuff. It covers it up, but then so I just need to check something, right? Which is I need to just add a padding to this guy. So let me inspect this guy and let's see. I need to just inspect this guy. Let's see. So that's the inner thing. Then the button itself fully rounded. So so I think the base style I'm just going to do P1, and that should solve the problem. And that solves the problem that I've been facing with that. So I'm just going to do 2 pixels. Thank you so much, Justice, for joining this stream. Really appreciate it, man. Okay, so but we still have the issue with the alignment here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come over here. Where's the span? So text, right? Leading, okay. I'm removing this guy. All right. So let me just see if flex and item center going to work for this guy. Okay. Item center, justify, center. All right, and that solves the problem for that on that front. So this is cleaner, and I'm very sure it's going to be like way more consistent than what we had before now. So that's one of the things that I wanted to clean up before now. Okay, so what other thing here? Let me see. Small button types and all those things. Okay, button size by default. All right, cool stuff. So that's that for that. This guy was kind of overlapping in a way right here. So let me go to the home page, index.js, index.js, right? Then I'm going to look for learn, read, practice. Learn, read, practice. Right, then I need to look for that horizontal rule. I need to look for that horizontal rule. Left is this, top is this. So obviously that's not consistent. Then I'm going to say so up is 136 pixels. I think let's do LG or XL. All right, cool stuff. So I think we can make this 150 pixels or 152 pixels. Just something that still looks decent, right? So let's see. Okay. All right. Well, since looks like we will have to live with this guy for now that way, but there are like a bunch of other things that I would like to do, which is basically extracting all of these components, right? Like a lot of things appears to be happening in each of like these pages. So I would love to extract like each of these section into like separate components, right? So I'm going to start here. So I have a source, yeah. Then I have a components page here. Nope. I'm coming. Components. Then there should be a pages. So I'm going to create a new folder here and call it templates. I'm going to call it templates, right? I'm just basically going to hold the various components for each page. So I'm going to, so for example, I'm going to say home, right? Then the first component here would be header.csx, right? So I'm going to come over here and just say, so why was this in a section? Okay. All right, I'll probably fix that. This should probably be a fragment. Let me see what happens. I do that. Did anything change? I don't think so. I didn't think so. So the header. So I'm taking the header, right? I'm taking the header, cut this guy, and I'm going to say home header equals this guy here. Return this. Then obviously there are a lot of things that we'll need here. Import React from React, right? Then what else do we need here? We need the rows. We need the rows. Cut this guy here. I'll just say exports. Then once rows equals that. Then what else do we need here? Is there any other library or whatever that we are using here? I think. Then the role component itself. Then role. Some. Once role. What's this guy? Then control equals this guy. What else? Save it up. Then import React from this guy, import React from this guy. So what that means is I can come over here and say index.js. I should come inside of here and say index.js, right? And I should export all from header, right? Then what that means now is I can come over here and say home header, right? Save it up and let's see if that still gives us what we want. So yeah, so these components obviously are no longer here. So what I'm trying to do here is just break up the components so that in the future these guys are easy or easier to debug. I don't need the newsletter, I don't need the partners component. Save it up. It seems like that's all the components I need. Container, right? Index container equals component / container. Save it up and let's see what we have. Boom. We still have this guy. So I'm kind of cool with this for now. I'll still break this guy down further, but I'm kind of cool with this for now. So on the home page, I'll just say featured stories. Stories.jsx. So I'm just going to do const home featured stories, right? Then I'm going to come over here to pages and I'm going to basically just cut all of this guy and return this guy, and I'm going to import React. I'm going to import React from React, right? Then inside of the header, I'm going to, of course, bring all of these components. I'm going to need all of these guys. I'm quite sure of that. Short stories, right? Then exports, right? Get this guy from React. Then featured articles.map. Okay, so then I'm going to come over to featured articles. Most of this data will end up coming from a content management system, by the way. So it's not really like a problem for now. But I'm hard coding this inside of here. This is just to be sure that we have what we kind of need. Then in the index.pages, I'm going to bring this featured article component. Do it up. Home. Featured stories. Okay. Featured article. Save it up. And I think this should be good. I don't think we should have any issues with this. Then inside of the index.js, do export all from featured stories. Then let me go back to the home page and I'm going to say featured stories, home featured stories. Righty, let's see. Any bugs? BR is not, static image is not defined, all of that cool stuff. All right, so all of that good stuff. So I'm just going to come over here. Feature stories. Replace this guy with this guy. Home. Where is the home page again? Container. Stories. Container. Seems like we don't need this guy. We don't need this guy. We don't need this guy. Then what other thing do we need? Index.js. Then we need the static image. We need that to be static image. The stories. We need that to be static image, of course. Modules before inline components. It says right arrow icon. The index pages and the right arrow icon. So I'm going to cut this because obviously that's the only place we are using it. So featured stories, where are thou? Let's see what that gives us. And we're back. Or are we now? All right, cool stuff. So we have this guy now. Then okay. Then I'm going to close out all of this open stuff. Right. Then I'm just going to add some sanity to what I'm doing so I can see what I'm doing properly. Then roadmap, right? So I feel like these roadmap components will be used in a bunch of other pages, right? So what I'm going to do is, in fact, let me see the way it is currently. So a clear roadmap for you, and we have this partner section. I have this partner section. Let me see what other pages look like. About us. Okay. Then we have stories. Donate. All right. So here's what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to first do this. The home section, this roadmap section and the partner section should not be tightly coupled together. It should not be tightly coupled together. So about us, we had the partner section here, so it should be fine. Then so it's fine. I'm going to find a way to work around this. So I'm going to extract this roadmap component actually into like a top level component so that it's reusable. So I'll say road maps, right? Then I'm going to do road maps.jsx and index.js, index.js, index.js. Pages. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Road maps. Because this guy. This also will eventually come from. This also will eventually come from a CMS. So there's really nothing to worry about for now. Then I'm going to come over here and say const featured roadmap equals that. Then roadmaps. At least right now, it is easier to debug each of these individual components, right? If there is a bug or something. So index.pages, I'm just going to basically like remove all of these guys. Right, there's a lot of things that we wouldn't need here, which are becoming quite obvious already. Then remove this guy, remove layout, remove static image, right? Then export, do it up. Then oh shit, I imported it into I pasted the code in the wrong place. Export all from roadmaps. First off, roadmaps equals this guy. Then so button break static image. See how this page now looks cleaner and there's some sanity to it. Is there still anybody on this stream? Am I the only one there? Oh, there are 3 people here. Nice. I'm one of the 3 people because I'm watching this stream on my phone, by the way. I have to check myself on. What do you mean? So, so roadmaps. Save it up. Index.all.roadmaps. Okay. There should be an index.jsx here. Yeah. So export all from roadmaps, right? Then roadmaps. Let's save it up. Let's see. Are there any errors? You know, the more errors, the better. You guys should come and buy WebBoss t-shirts now. I say WebBoss t-shirts. Other pieces of tech t-shirts. Yo, come and buy t-shirts now. What's happening here? Let me drop the link. Buy t-shirts. It's just 7,500 naira. You know what I'm talking about? Okay, that's actually expensive. But then it's how we are hoping to raise money for the brand. So it says roadmaps.jsx. It says, okay, yeah, I have to return. I can't believe I made a mistake. What's text? React must be used, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. What's it? Nibo lo tiri. Okay, so const roadmaps. So what's happening here? I thought I fixed that already. Okay. Then import React from React. That should solve the problem. Cool stuff. So, alrighty. So, let me see. Index dots. This guy. Whoop. So let's check the partners component. Something fishy seems to be going on down there. So it says here that we have px mdpy equals 14 and all of that, right? Then the partners equals this. Then my question is, how is it working inside of the about us page? Because everything seems to be working fine here. So let me check the about us page and let's look for what we are probably doing right over there. Okay. Text center. Okay. Let me see. All right. So I think that's probably what we should be doing inside of the partners component itself directly. So where's the partners component? Partners. Writing. This looks like it. So then the roadmap kind of needs to, let's just padding top. Yeah. So that it has some more sanity to it. But I think one thing I actually may want to do is instead of adding padding top and bottom directly inside of the components, it can become quite difficult to debug. I would just allow that anywhere you want to use it, just add whatsoever extra styling that you would like to add to this, right? So that gives more flexibility, I think. So let me go back to the index page, right? So over here, I'm going to just have a div wrapping this, right? I'm just going to say class name. Then so in this case right now, I can just say, let me see. I can say class name pt 90 pixels. Alrighty. Then for the partners, let me see. Seems like we have some default. Okay, yeah, so this is internal. What else? Empty margin top 59 pixels. I'm going to remove anything that involves spacing. So on the index page, I'm going to then add this over there. So this, I believe, should just like anywhere you need to use the partners or the partners component or the roadmap component, just how you want it to look, or the spacing between it and other elements is kind of up to you, so that we are not so rigid on that front and we are running into like some unnecessary bugs. So if I come over here now to about us, right? Okay, yeah, you see that this, I think it seems like where we put it in here already has some spacing, so which is kind of good for us. And I think those are like the only two pages like using those two components for now. Yeah, we have the newsletter, cool stuff. We probably want to add okay, subscribe to our newsletter. I think that's probably like sufficient enough for this place, for this section, right? Cool. Actually, I have a meeting now. I'm actually enjoying the work I'm doing here, like extracting all of these components, but I guess like we'll kind of just continue next week. We need the UDI. Alrighty. We'll work on UDI. Let me take a screenshot that I can take to the design team, and let's see if they are going to work on that. It says we need the UDI. Alrighty. So I've taken note of that. We probably will just like do that. Thank you so much for joining up, guys. Really appreciate you coming around, stopping by to just see me like mess around with stuff like this. It's just basically UI work, nothing so intriguing, right? But then we're going to get to it someday. Eventually, start doing some complicated Gatsby stuff and all of that, which will most likely happen next week. So thank you so much, guys. Do enjoy the rest of your weekend and don't forget to do like a boss. Bye for now.